Right. Um, this is not, well, I'm TC, the host and founder of the Minnesota Black Robe Regiment um, podcast, MBRR Media, as we're now calling it, because we're doing so much more than just YouTube. We're doing everything. We're doing we're working on Instagram. We have Substack going. We have Rumble, and this was not, honestly, I never thought this day would come where I would be in a position to do what I'm going to do today. I'm a vet. Um, this is hard for me. It grates. It grates on every single bit of my being, and um, and it doesn't feel good. So some of you are wondering why I'm doing this, and it's because I'm consistent. I'm consistently about liberty. I'm consistently about freedom. I'm consistently about the Constitution. I'm consistently about the principles and the values that didn't just start this country and build it after the Constitution was written, but about the principles and the values that um, drove our founding fathers to pick up the mantle of liberty and freedom and protest and to fight. I know that's difficult for a lot of people. I get that. I understand. It's we come. How do I want to say this? We find ourselves, for the most part, in this strange place where we're either left or we're right. We're either Republican or Democrat. We're conservatives or we're leftists. Most of you who consider yourself conservative will say that, well, libtards or liberals. Well, they're not liberals. The people that you're ideologically opposed to are not liberals. They're leftists. I'm opposed to leftists, but I'm also opposed to populism. I'm opposed to democracy. Democracy is the bane of existence of a free people. Democracy is, as the old saying goes, is two wolves and a sheep deciding what's for dinner. See, we live in a republic. We live in a constitutional republic, a federal republic. We live in a country that up until the passage of the 14th Amendment, the individual states were sovereign and superior to the federal government. Up until Lincoln, we lived in a country where people had predominantly a right to assemble and a right to express and voice their frustration and their disgust with the way that the government was being formed, the way it was being shaped. And then sometime roundabout, I don't know, say the start of the war of secession between the South and the North, people began to become enamored of the idea that the thing that mattered the most was the unity of the Union, Nothing else at all times. The only thing that mattered was we had to prevail as a union. We had to stay together no matter what we did, no matter what we said, no matter what other problems we had. The one thing that mattered the most was that we had the strong central government, that the president be the emperor, and that we be seen as complacent and subservient, because that's what was good for us. And so those things began to get whittled away. And these liberties and these freedoms began to get whittled away from us because we had to stay together. And we lost something then. We lost our ability to be our own. So now, instead of fighting for liberty and fighting for freedom and fighting for the Constitution and fighting to keep the Republic pure, we now fight and bicker between ourselves, between Democrat and Republican, between leftists and conservatives. We name call and we insult and we bash, and we all do it. And then we laud and applaud people who are vocally brash and brazen in the stupid things that they say that they're going to do and what they will do if they have the power. Hey, Mercedes. Hi, Pam. See, our weakness is that we are followers. Our weakness is that we are sheep. We want a strong man to lord over us. We want a terrifyingly powerful person to tell us how to live our lives. And then when we get that person in power, whether it be a leftist Democrat or a leftist progressive or a conservative traditionalist Republican, which, by the way, Donald Trump is not a conservative traditionalist Republican. You guys are going to want to share this out, because what I'm about to say is probably the most truth anybody's going to hear for a while. So when we get our guy, our person, whether Biden or Harris or Trump or whoever, when we get our guy in power, we want that person to do those things that we don't have the balls to do ourselves. And we say things like, this is what I voted for, and then we double down. We become vassals of the tyrant that we voted for. We become his apologists. We become his mouthpieces, or her apologists, or her mouthpieces, and everything that they do, we have to approve of, because I voted for that person, and if I voted for that person, I voted for this, and if I voted for this, it can't be wrong, because I wouldn't vote for anything that's wrong. I wouldn't vote for a person who would do something that violates my principles. So therefore, this thing that's being done, this person that I voted for, they can't be wrong, because I can't be wrong, because if I'm wrong, then maybe my vote was wrong, and if my vote was wrong, then maybe I'm wrong all the time, and I can't stand being wrong. So if the person that I voted for said that I have to do something, or somebody can't do something, then I can't do it, and they can't do it, and we can't do it, and therefore it's wrong for everybody, and there must be punishment, there must be trouble. Something must be done to stop this thing that person A that I voted for wants done. So in the case of our current president, if he says that he wants to buy 10% of Intel, the technology company, which, by the way, he's working on, that is the beginning of fascism, folks. If Donald Trump says, well, the federal government, not we the people, the federal government is going to own a portion of a private company, that's exactly the thing that people are accusing him of being. Even though their reasons for accusing him of it are completely wrong, they're right in that regard. The reality in this, the thing that we have to face is that even though Trump was better than Biden, better than Harris, he's doing a lot of things that none of us should approve of, but we voted for him, so therefore we can't say, oh, this is wrong. And so this week, Donald Trump comes out and issues an executive order, like he promised he was going to do at one time, that was going to punish people who burn the American flag, who desecrate the American flag, with 1 year in prison. You don't get out early, you don't get one day more, not one day less. You do your 1 year and you pay your fine. And then he realizes, well, I have to say some things about this so it doesn't sound like I'm infringing on people's First Amendment protected speech. And according to the most conservative justice in the last 60 years, Antonin Scalia, said the burning of the American flag is not only constitutionally protected, it is sacred to the intent, and I'm paraphrasing, but sacred to the intent and the meaning of the natural right of man to be free to express his discontent with the people he has ruling over him. And Donald Trump says, no, we're not going to. He looks at Antonin Scalia's statement and says, well, we don't want to violate that. We just want it not to be criminal. We don't want him to do it in a criminal way. So if you're going to burn a flag and you're doing it in a criminal way, we want you punished. And then he goes on to talk about when people see the flag getting burned, it makes them angry, and they act out in violence, or it incites them to violence because they're impassioned to do things they wouldn't normally do. That's not my problem, and that's not your problem, Donald Trump. Criminalize the people doing criminal things. You don't criminalize the person who's protesting against the federal government. Look, if I can be held accountable for the words that I use in protesting against the government, if I can be held criminal, if anybody can be held criminal for doing things where they are expressing their discontent, their dissatisfaction, their anger, maybe even their vitriolic hatred for people in positions of power, and so I'm expressing these things, and somebody hears that, and they assault me, or they assault someone else, or they go out and they do something they shouldn't do. You don't hold that person accountable for that. You can't, because, ladies and gentlemen, if my words can be used against me to hold me accountable for the actions of others, then Donald Trump should be in prison for January 6th. Because he said, let's march to the Capitol. He said it, not me. The people who marched to the Capitol and did those things on January 6th did it because Donald Trump said, let's march to the Capitol. And I don't think that's true. I don't think that Donald Trump should be in prison for that, but I don't think that you should be in prison or threatened with imprisonment by some loophole that Donald Trump tells Pam Bondi to find to be able to go out and criminalize someone for burning the flag in protest of a government that they no longer recognize, that no longer represents them. And yes, it is a First Amendment right. Now, if you steal a flag and you burn it, you should be imprisoned for theft because you are harming someone else. If you beat someone up and you take their property from them and you burn their property, you should be imprisoned for arson because you are burning something that doesn't belong to you. Now, I've heard people say, well, Donald Trump only wants people who are from other countries or who are protesting against the government and they're burning the American flag to incite violence. Like, one, I have a very hard time with the concept of speech crimes. I don't believe in hate speech. I don't believe in hate crimes. I believe if you're going to hurt someone, you have to hate them. So for Trump to say that what he wants to do is only limit it to certain groups of people who can't do it, and what you do on your private property is okay. Well, folks, that's not a protest. What I'm doing today, I'm doing on private property. In the burning of the flag, I'm burning it today on private property to send a message that I do want people to be incited. I want other patriotic Americans to do this. I want other patriotic Americans to say, you know what? TC's right. He might be crazy, but he's right. I do. I want other Americans to do this. I want to incite other Americans to protest. I want to incite other Americans to do this exact same thing. I want to incite other Americans to get together and say, let's do a mass flag burning. Let's 20, 30, 40, 50 of us to get together and go to a public place and burn flags. Not because I hate the Republic, not because I hate the United States. As a veteran, I love my country. I love the Republic. I love it more than those who would say, yeah, lock TC up for burning the flag. And what's more, what I'm doing is in keeping with the principles and the values of the founders of this country well before the first shots were fired. Well before the Battle of Lexington and Concord. What I'm doing is in keeping with the values of a country, of a republic, of people who cherish what we swore. So many of us swore an oath to defend. The very people who are mad at the idea or mad at people or want to assault people, and by the way, I live in Spring Valley, I live right on Broadway, I have a big yellow house, so if you're watching this and you're anywhere near me and you want to come and say something to me, come while I'm doing this. Come, find me. I'm burning a flag. And it's made out of nylon. There's got to be some way for them to charge me for this because it's a violation of some environmental law. So come find me. Charge me. Charge me. Or get on board. When are you going to say enough is enough? In about 15 minutes, I'm going to be sitting down with Sentinels of Liberty to talk about the loss of my career and the militarization of law enforcement. When this stream is over, it's tossing to him. And I hope that you guys will come and join in that chat there. And I hope you guys will share this out. Because what I'm about to do, I'm not comfortable doing. It doesn't feel good. I'm very emotional right now. But every single person out there that claims they love liberty, every single person out there that claims they love the Republic, every single person that claims they are a constitutional originalist, get off your ass and do what I'm doing, or don't tell me about how much you love your country or about how much you love the Republic. And if you wouldn't put yourself between an angry mob trying to hurt the person who's burning the flag, then you are not what you say you are. You're nothing more than a coward. Stand by. I know this is going to make a lot of you angry. And I can't help that. And I can't be held responsible for your anger. I don't know if you guys can see how the stars are still kind of trapped in the scorch at the top of that log. I think that's fitting. No, I'm not. I'm burning. What does burning that stuff do? What does burning that stuff do? Honestly. Why should I do that? Let's go. Why should I burn a BLM flag? Why should I burn a LGBT flag? Why? There's no reason for me to burn those because they're not symbols of our government. They're not symbols of our rulers. See, as I said in the description of this video, my good friend Travis Bull Johnson from up north of me here in Minnesota said, I didn't swear an oath to the flag. I swore an oath to the Constitution. I swore an oath to the Republic. And so when you tell me that I can't burn the American flag, that's the government saying you can't protest us. Now, I don't think there should be laws about burning any flag. The next flag I'm burning is the flag of Israel. But see, let's go. The thing that makes me different than you is that I love my country enough to burn the American flag. I love my country enough to protest against asinine leaders, elected servants who say the flag is sacred. The flag's not sacred. The Constitution in the realm of the United States is the supreme law of the land and is sacred. So you can call it treasonous, Michael Krieger, but treasonous is backing a person who will take away your freedoms by using end-arounds according to the Constitution of the United States and the Supreme Court of this land. Trump is every bit as much of a tyrant as Biden and Harris ever dreamed of being. The only difference is that you love his tyranny because he's doing some things that you like. But you're missing all the stuff that he's done that were bad. You're missing all the things that he said that are dangerous, like take their guns first and worry about due process later. You miss the fact that he supported the bump stock ban. You miss the fact that it was him who declared the emergency that made the COVID lockdowns possible. You missed the fact that it was him who created the warp speed Operation Warp Speed that fast-tracked without any type of testing the COVID vaccines that you all protested in 2020 and in 2021 and in 2022. It was Trump that created the environment that made it possible for your states and your governors and your mayors and your city councils and your county commissions to lock you down in your homes and force the jab on you. It was Trump who created those things. And it might have been Democrats who went hog wild with it, but it was Trump that made that possible. It's Trump that just bought 10% of Intel with your taxpayer dollars. It's Trump that continues to pour billions of dollars into Israel. It's Trump that continues to pour billions of dollars into Ukraine. It's Trump that is unilaterally bombing other countries when he promised no more goddamn war. And then you tell me that I'm a treasonous person for doing what I just did? Come get me then. Come fucking get me. You think that I'm the traitor? You think that I'm treasonous? Fuck you. I've got more spine and more cojones and more courage to be willing to sacrifice all of my viewers, all of my subs, and any of my friends. I gave up a fucking career for speaking truth. So make sure that this gets sent out to whatever law enforcement agency that you sucked the penis of. If you think this is me being treasonous. Because I don't say things like this very often, but I'm 10 times the human being, 10 times the man, and have 10 times the spine and the intestinal fortitude of you will ever know. Because I am willing to say what Trump is doing is wrong, even though I voted for him. So fuck you for calling me a treasonous. I'm not a traitor. I took that oath multiple times to protect this republic, to defend this republic, to defend the Constitution. And maybe you don't agree with what I'm doing, but that's fine. The Constitution, my natural right to do this, is defended by the fact that it's a natural right. And whether or not you agree doesn't matter. What matters is that my speech and my expression are protected. Not because the president says it is, not because some politician in a suit or a fancy dress sitting in Washington, D.C. or any other place in this country. Not because they say it's protected. It's protected because it's a natural right, and then it's enshrined and fenced by the Bill of Rights. And once again, the most conservative justice in the last 60 years, Antonin Scalia, said it is protected. And it is one of the most sacred rights there is to the expression of discontent with what the government is doing. I'm going to end this, and I'm going to toss this over to my new friend, Sentinels of Liberty, where you'll be able to hear more about my journey and about my end of my career and the militarization of law enforcement. Patrick Hickson, I don't know you from Adam. You want to come on my show, send me an email, mbrrpodcast@yahoo.com. I'll gladly have you on, and then I will freaking destroy you philosophically. I will freaking wreck you philosophically. When I'm done with you, you will be a crying heap on the floor, philosophically. But once again, my email, mbrrpodcast@yahoo.com. Patrick, put your money where your mouth is. Put it on the line. Come on my show, and we will have a debate about this where I will eviscerate you. Next flag is the flag of Israel, and then I'll burn another American flag. And the next time I burn the American flag, it's going to be in a public park. No, I know I would destroy you, Patrick, because everything you're saying just proves how vapid you are. Send me the email, and let's make it happen. I will do it live, no editing. You can come make a fool out of me. We're tossing this over to Sentinels of Liberty. All of my friends, all of my subscribers, all of my channel members, thank you so much for what you do. Thank you to the show producers. Get over and watch me on Sentinels of Liberty right now. Until next time, my friends, fight for your freedom, it is yours. Fight for your liberty, it belongs to you. And sic freaking semper tyrant, or sic semper tyrannis.